Gojo Satoru is an exceptionally important character in JJK, and one could go as far as to say that he is the face of the entire series. He's one of the fan favorites in the story, and certainly a character who has had a profound effect on many fans. Unfortunately, the fans lost a beloved character when Gojo was unsealed in the Culling Game arc. He took part in a fight against Sukuna in Shinjuku, and this fight, although incredibly balanced, led to Gojo losing his life and, with that, the title of the strongest as well. However, while Gojo is dead, there are many ideas out there that support his return, and one of the many ways that he can return is by using a binding vow. So how can Gojo come back to life using a binding vow? But before moving forward, let's understand what a binding vow is. Binding vows are something that we have seen from the very beginning of the story. Essentially, they form one of the primary tenets of the Jujutsu world. Binding vows are simply put pacts that one makes with either themselves or with others. The pact absolutely cannot be broken, and the people involved in the act get what they want at a particular price. We have seen binding vows being made many times in the story already, and a binding wall can definitely save Gojo's life here. Before Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 244, Gojo returning with a binding vow would have been unlikely. However, it is through the character of Miwa that some hope has been given to us of this character. Essentially, Miwa made a binding vow with herself, which stated that if she was allowed to wield a katana one more time in Shibuya, then she would never touch a katana again in her life. With that, she was able to muster all her strength in a single strike of her sword. However, in exchange, she would never again touch another katana, which is why she was also missing in action for so long. Essentially, she sacrificed a big power of hers for a short-term benefit. This is the core of how Gojo can return to the series. Gojo can very well make a binding vow with himself, which would give him life at the cost of something massive, and that is his powers. Gojo is so strong that just by being born, the entire world shifted in balance. His powers are great enough for him to destroy nearly anyone, and in exchange for such power, gaining life seems like a fair exchange. Simply put, Gojo can give up either his 6 eyes or the curse technique, limitless or both, in exchange for his life. As to why he would want his life back, the answer simply lies in the fact that he would want to find a new version of himself. When Gojo died, Nanami mentioned that by going north, he could start anew and find a newer version of himself. This version of Gojo would then focus more on his own personality and not on his strength, which would essentially answer the question of whether he is Gojo because he is the strongest, or if he is the strongest because he's Gojo. At the same time, he would also fulfill the promise of overhauling the Jujutsu society and changing the world order as fans know it. But the main question is, why must Gojo come back? Well, there are many compelling reasons for Gojo to return, and while it isn't set in stone, it is something that should ideally happen. There are too many storylines around Gojo that need to be resolved with him present in the story. That is not to say that the story cannot continue or conclude if Gojo does not return. The author could very well choose to simply kill off Gojo for good and never bring him back to the story. However, doing so would reduce Gojo to a very badly handled character. One of the main reasons why Gojo must return is to fulfill his goal. Gojo is a character who aims to shake the world of Jujutsu sorcery from the inside. Gojo knows the leaders of the world are corrupt, and while he certainly does possess the strength to kill them all, he wants to do it in a sustainable way, which is to reshape society from the inside out. That is precisely why Gojo became a teacher in the first place, and why he must absolutely see to it that his students accomplish their dreams. Regardless of strength, Gojo is a guide, and he absolutely must be there to see his students accomplish his goal. Dying right now for him is too premature, and he needs to be there to lead Yuji and others to their eventual destinies. Of course, that certainly isn't the only reason why Gojo absolutely must return to the story. Gojo is directly tied to Gito, and fans know that these two characters were the strongest together at one point in the story. The current events of the story greatly hinge on their relationship and how it split apart after the events of the hidden inventory. Despite everything that happened with Gito, Gojo still wants to give him a proper burial, and even after he was unsealed, he brought this up once again. Gojo is tied together and, through him, to Kinjaku. Even if Kinjaku is eliminated from Geto's body by Utah, Gojo has to fulfill his promise and give Geto a proper burial or more. Most importantly, Gojo must answer the question that Gito once posed to him. When these two split apart, Geto asked him if he was the strongest because he was Gojo, or if he was Gojo because he was the strongest. This is a question that has has, since then, haunted Gojo. The question that is put forward here simply asks whether Gojo is the person that he is today because he was born the strongest, and if it was his personality that shaped him as the strongest. Gojo is a character that can often be described as being drunk on power, and he still has to undergo a journey where he finds a true sense of fulfillment. There are too many plot threads that are hanging around Gojo for him to simply die.
So, what's your opinion on this? Tell me in the comment section. And thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing my channel for more awesome videos.